Good morning, San Diego. I'm Eve Nasby, and welcome to Operation American Dream. Happy Black Friday. We have a great show for you today. We have part 2 of Captain Williams, and if you guys didn't tune in last week, he's 91 years old, a Korean War hero who shot down 4 MiGs, was being chased by 7. He ran out of ammunition, but not after getting 268 holes in his plane, landed on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the snow. You're not going to want to miss part 2 of this. We also have Tom Garcia doing some great things for our troops up at Pendleton for Thanksgiving. And of course, our good friend Phil Kendro talking about Sky Tours, Mount Soledad Association, and all the great things you can get involved with here in San Diego. Stay tuned. Operation American Dream is coming at you. Welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm Eve Nasby, and I am really excited to have one of my good friends back in studio with us, Phil Kendro. Phil, welcome back to the show.
Hey, glad to be back here. It's awesome.
You know, for some of our guests who don't know you, you were a former military pilot. You flew Harriers. How fun is that? Yeah. And now you're still flying, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's available to us to jump in there and participate with you in, and also Mount Soledad Memorial. I mean, you're involved in so much in this community, so thanks for all you're doing. And let's just jump right into this. So talk about first the San Diego Public Leadership Institute. I think that's a really cool organization that most people, including myself, don't know a lot about.
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate. This past week, actually graduated from the San Diego Public Leadership Institute. Yeah, awesome. And very fortunate to have a lot of great members. We were the 103rd people here in San Diego to have graduated through this course.
Wow.
So a number of years ago, a gentleman named Mark Mills had been traveling around the United States, and he came up with the Public Leadership Institute. And what it was to do was to get Republicans and Democrats that want to make a difference. The first day you show up in class, he says, "You're not normal. You want to do more than you're already doing with your businesses." And he's like, "That's great." And so what we do is we take people here in San Diego, some places in Florida as well. And so they teach them what do we do. And it's about a 6 to 7 month course.
Wow.
And you come in once a month, and we get great speakers or former San Diego Public Leadership Institute people like Councilmember Kate, Councilmember Bill Sankey out at Coronado. And then they're supported by some great leaders here in town like Bill Gephardt, Ben Haddad, who actually created the program to teach leaders here in San Diego locally, and great support by also like people like Phil McCracken, I know has been a great supporter, Jerry Sanders with the San Diego Chamber. And so you get a lot of great mentorship from these people to come in and tell you, how do you continue to serve in the community? Especially as a veteran, a lot of my fellow veterans, we've gotten out, and I've been out now 18 months, we said, I need to continue to do something.
Yes.
And San Diego Public Leadership Institute was something great to get started into.
So you said it's bipartisan. So
Yes.
Is the intent for the Leadership Institute to help you get into a political role, or what is really the end goal?
So the main thing is they're looking to groom you for elected official or elected offices, but they also are looking for city boards and commissions to bring people in. Because what they're looking at is they really don't care about what your partisan affiliation is. They want good people that want to dedicate the life to service to helping out in the communities of whatever community they're associated with.
And you know, I've said it before, I think we need more leaders who have served in our military, in our government today. I think there's far too many who haven't, and you guys make such a big impact. You have a love for this country, you have a love for the community. I mean, you directed the entire air show for 8 years over at Miramar. You're extremely well connected in the community. Now that you're out, you're still doing that. So again, it's an incredible honor to have you here on the show. And you're not only doing that Public Leadership Institute, you're also doing the Mount Soledad Memorial Association, and you just had a fantastic event, Phil. I was there on Memorial Day and did the flyover, and it was just incredible. So talk about that association.
Well, continuing service, you know, just not myself, and I'm such a small part of a lot of these events that we've been doing, you know, including the Miramar Air Show to the Mount Soledad. So I was very fortunate and humbled that back in February, March timeframe, joined the Mount Soledad Memorial Association. And with my event background, it just seemed to be conducive to help out with putting our events on. We had a record numbers at the Memorial Day, over 1,100 people. This past Veterans Day, I think we had record numbers for Veterans Day, about 750 folks.
You had Ted Williams' grandson there, too.
Yeah, we had Ted Williams, honoring Ted Williams there. We had Dick Enberg that was actually giving some personal stories because he knew him, as well as the new 3-star commanding general at 1 Marine Expeditionary Force, Lieutenant General Craporatos. So we get some amazing speakers, really supported by the public. And now that we actually own the property and lawsuits have been finalized as of 7 September 2016, you know, it's a great memorial. And one of the things people don't recognize, it's a National Veterans Memorial, and you don't have passed away. So it's a living memorial. So if you have a relative, a friend that you want to get on the Mount Soledad, we've got over 4,600 plaques up there, starting from the Revolutionary War to the most recent conflicts, that you can get a plaque and get them and commemorate them on that memorial.
And so you get your picture on there, or your loved one's picture on there, a little bit about them, their service, their branch, and all of that. And what a great way to commemorate them in their service.
And especially if they are still in, we do a honor ceremony for them when we put the plaque up there.
Do you really?
Can talk a little about the family, bring the family, or the families coming in town. And you know, we're one of the best sites to see San Diego from the ground at 800 feet at sea level. But then we'll talk about what the best way to see is San Diego from the sky too.
All right, San Diego Sky Tours, one of my most favorite things to do is fly. So tell me about this.
Yeah, so very fortunate. Been with this company about a year now, although the gentleman that brought me in, Eric Mulder, another friend, Jim Cabanas, Eric and I have known each other since we started flight school over 20 years ago.
Wow.
So he was fortunate enough to bring me in the team to help out with marketing, public outreach, and then also to fly, which is the really cool part, of course. And we do everything from the mild to the wild. So, you know, if a person's kind of a little bit squeamish, a little bit scared, concerned, we have a simple 20-minute takeoff, go see La Jolla and come back. If they want to have a little bit more time in the air, we'll take them over the bay, see downtown San Diego, see the sights, Hotel Del, see the beaches. If they want to get a little crazy, we're going to strap a parachute on you. We're going to do some aerobatics and flip you around.
Strap me on the wing.
Yes. Well, wing walking's up north. I actually have some friends that do that. But so we do aerobatics, and so we're also the only FAA-approved formation flying tour here in San Diego.
Really?
So then, if you want to go one more notch, is we take off in formation. We're going to take you off the coast in one of our working areas, and we're going to dogfight. And we're actually going to give you controls and have you do World War I style dogfights.
Oh my gosh!
And as a pilot, I've got to use my hands a little bit.
Right.
And it's such a great experience. And you know what? The people come back. It's a bucket list item. And I'll tell you honestly, I've had people that's, you know, every person hugs me afterwards because they're just like, that was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. And I'm like, I tell the customers, like, I'm going to have a great time, but I want to make sure you're having a good time.
That's right.
A great time.
Now, is this open cockpit, closed cockpit?
Open cockpit biplanes. It's a World War I type of experience. And, you know, we're amazing because we've got so many partners here in San Diego that fly World War II airplanes that have supported us with different adventures for flyovers like Mount Soledad, flyovers USS Midway, Centennial Naval Aviation. So this is an aviation community that's, you know, started since back in 1911 out in North Island when Glenn Curtis first started flying aircraft out there. So it's a great brotherhood and fraternity and family of aviation here in San Diego.
And who wouldn't want to fly with former Aviate pilots, et cetera, right?
Yes.
There's such confidence in your abilities, and I'm sure everybody would feel safe, especially when you're going upside down and doing the barrel rolls and all that kind of stuff.
Although my wife still won't let me put her upside down yet, so I don't.
That's okay. So tell us the website and how we can get a hold of you at Sky Tours.
Okay, Sky Tours is www.sandiegoskytours.com. Very easy to find. The SDPLI is it's www.sdpli.org. And they're actually looking for people to apply in January. So
that's the Leadership Institute.
That's the Leadership Institute that's out here. And then as far as the Mount Soledad, you've got soledadmemorial.com if they want to find out about putting a plaque up there too.
I love it. Phil Kendro, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. I feel like every time we do this, I have to buckle my seatbelt because you go full force. You're involved in so much in our community. Thank you for your service. Thank you for giving back.
Well, I appreciate it. Again, I'm just one small part. I've been very fortunate to have some great people to work with.
Awesome. Well, we will be right back with more of Operation American Dream. Don't go away. Welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm Eve Nasby, and you know, the holidays are coming up, and all of us want to do something for those who are in need, or just to go out and volunteer and take your family out somewhere. And one of the best ways that we can give back to our community is to go to Camp Pendleton to help deliver Thanksgiving Day meals. And with us in studio today from the USO is my good friend, Tom Garcia. Hi, Tom. So glad to have you here.
Great to be here, Eve.
You know, so tell us about, obviously you have a great military service. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my service isn't as long as a lot of people. I was in the Army for 2 years, got drafted actually in 1968, served from 68 to 70, and then when everybody else was having to go to Vietnam, they sent me to Germany.
Wow.
I hadn't, this is what happened. So didn't really think about military service much after that. When I moved to San Diego, of course, San Diego's a big military town. I got involved with the USO, was on the board of directors, had been on the board of directors for like 9 years, and now I'm on the advisory board. And all the great things that the USO does for the families and stuff, it's just, it was important to me.
Yes, and it's so exciting because it's a way for us to give back to those who are serving us and who have served us. So coming up first is Thanksgiving. So tell us about that event and how we can jump in and help you what you're doing.
Sure. First, I think you should know that the USO is actually, we're going to have a base or have a facility on Camp Pendleton pretty soon. Actually, next year. We've never had one there. It'll be awesome, and there's a big need up in Camp Pendleton. 3 years ago, General Colonese, he's a good friend of mine, decided that it would be important to take Thanksgiving dinner to his troops at their duty stations.
So they're working, and they're missing out on all the turkey and stuffing and all of that kind of stuff.
They're doing what Marines have to do,
right.
The important stuff. So we put together some prepackaged meals, and the general, his chaplain, myself, and my granddaughter, we spent the whole day taking these 150 dinners out to the different duty stations, and it was really a surprise to the men and women that were there that he would show up and give them to them.
I'll bet.
It was great. It was a great event. And so he left, and I wanted to carry on what he started. So start getting in touch with different battalions and things and finding out what their need was. And they do have some programs for single Marines at Camp Pendleton. But a lot of these battalions and stuff, when they get deployed or whatever, they can't do it all on Thanksgiving Day. So last year we put together meals, and I worked it out, and we took 760 dinners.
Wow.
Some of them prepackaged, some we served on Thanksgiving Day to the different battalions out there, and we did one single Marine facility, and that was it was awesome. I had some volunteers that went and helped, and then after we came to my house and had Thanksgiving. So last year, and I think people started hearing what we were doing, and they had fun, they liked it. So this year, we're up to, so far, 1,300 meals.
Oh my goodness, you're almost doubling it.
We're just about doubling it every year, it seems like. So,
and you need help. So how can we help you?
Well, the biggest way, actually, for all the things the USO does, we don't get funded by the government or anybody else. So money is always to support these projects.
Sure.
I've been very lucky up in North County, so we have some great people. Tri-City Hospital has been a great source of funds to help us fund these things. Freedom Frontline is a group that I work with, and they're donating money to, and volunteers. So we always need more money so we can do more for the troops and their families out there. So if people want to send some holiday donation into the USO San Diego, you can go to our website and just put, for maybe holiday funds or holiday gift up there, and they'll know what it's for and make good use of it too.
Oh, that's great. And we've also got Christmas coming up, so there's all sorts of opportunities to volunteer and help donate to the USO.
Yeah, and if they'll, I'll do this. I'll give my personal email address,
Okay.
which is tom.garcia47@hotmail.com. Anybody can email me and let me know how they want to help. We do need some volunteers. We're doing about 400 or 500 dinners on Thanksgiving Day. Now, a lot of people don't want to mess up their Thanksgiving, but we're doing it on Thanksgiving Day. But we do have opportunities starting that Monday. The week before, we're doing dinners at almost every day. So there's plenty of opportunities for people that want to help.
I think it's not messing up your Thanksgiving Day to grab your family and go volunteer to help serve those who are serving us. But thank you for that. And Tom Garcia from the USO, thank you for your service, and thank you for all that you are continuing to do to serve those in the military.
Great to be here. Thank you, Eve.
We'll be right back with more of Operation American Dream. Don't go away. Welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and last week we had Captain Williams with us. He was in a dogfight with 7 MiGs, and he shot down 4, the only American in history to ever do that. And we've got him back in studio. Captain Williams, welcome back.
Thank you.
So we last left off. You had shot down that 1 MiG. Tell us what happened after that, and then we're going to talk to Rolf over here because he's got some more stories to tell about you. So you've shot down 1. You've got 6 others that are surrounding you. Then what happened?
Well, they were taking turns shooting at me, and I was
wasn't very
doing
nice.
my best to evade,
Right.
to spoil their aim and survive.
In an inferior aircraft, I might add. You weren't flying another equal to the MiG. You were flying almost like a prop job, right? Trying to evade all of this and then shooting them down.
Yes, I had no intention to leave, but I didn't have a lot of opportunity because they would dive and then pull up so abruptly that I couldn't pull up and track them and shoot. But right after I shot down the first one, the remaining 3 of that formation pulled on up and turned back and came on a head-on run at me.
Oh my gosh.
And I fired at the first guy who was the lead. When he came in range, he was shooting at me further out because he had larger guns and so forth, and maybe he was in range. Once I just fired briefly, he pulled off, but his wingman continued. And I hit him way out, and he never maneuvered. It just went on down. And now we're down to 5, and they're continuing their runs, and I'm evading, and without much of an opportunity to shoot. But one guy made a mistake and just turned without climbing, and I was able to get behind him, and he just came unglued, and I had to avoid pieces coming off the
Wow.
airplane.
Oh, my
so he
goodness.
was down. Then I had another one that I don't remember exactly just how I hit him, but I remember tracking him, and he was burning. Well, it's not like in World War II with gasoline. This is this is JP fuel
Right.
for jets, and
Right.
kerosene. It doesn't burn good, especially at high altitude. And I was firing at him, and he was somewhat out of range, extreme range. So I looked and I saw this guy right in front of me. Well, I ran out of ammunition, and I had nothing better to do than to get out of there. But this guy had a lucky shot, and with a big 37 millimeter, hit my aircraft and exploded right in the accessory section of the engine. And it destroyed most of my controls and all hydraulics, and my airplane was now out of rig and hard to control. So I still had the elevator, which makes you go up and down. So I pushed the airplane as hard as I could forward and back, and this guy was sitting perfect range right behind me and just shooting away, and I'm seeing the big ammunition go over the top, and the smaller I could see the tracers.
Oh my goodness.
I'm aiming toward that snowstorm. Luckily, I got there before he destroyed me, and he lost sight of me, and I lost sight of him, and that
And
was
you
good.
limped and landed back on the aircraft carrier?
That was a miracle in itself, because I got down to 170 knots, that's about 200 miles an hour, and the airplane would become uncontrollable. That's twice the speed we normally approach the airplane, of the
Holy
carrier.
cow.
And the carrier is in this big storm of 40-knot winds, and it's pitching on around. And I get clearance to land, and I was behind the ship, and they cleared me to land at any speed, because in addition to the 40 knots, a ship can do 30. So they were ready for me, but I couldn't line up. You know, this was back before angle deck. It was just straight deck, and I was trying to line up, but because of my difficulties, I couldn't. But I was pointed at the ship and got in and told them I couldn't control it. And they said, we'll cut you for an early wire, which probably meant I would just go over the side. But the captain of the ship, and I've never heard it before or since, and it made this thing unusual, turned the ship and lined it up with me.
That's fantastic.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I caught a normal wire, and
Wow.
That's
with
a captain.
263 holes in the airplane, I was safely.
263 holes.
Yeah, well, perforation, some of them
Wow.
from the exploding ammunition.
And now you've got a story about Eisenhower and how he was able
I
to
think
meet
the
him.
interesting thing, when after all this occurred, and it was classified, and he came down and they recovered on the carrier, and then he was told it's classified for 50. Well, they didn't say 50 years, but
Right.
they just said highly
You just
classified.
can't tell anybody.
His squadron mates, half the squadron mates didn't even know, or didn't know what he had accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, and Royce tells the story, later he met with, it was President-elect Eisenhower and all the powers that be, and that's very unusual. If you're a lieutenant in the Navy, you don't go hang out with presidents. And then they're sitting down, and Royce can tell that story, and I think it's fantastic that there was a lot that went on there that nobody knew about, because this, we think, really, truly, and Royce is convinced that it's the first NSA operation.
Wow, the first one. And so what did President-elect Eisenhower say to you when he was sitting next to you?
Well, I was invited to join Admiral Clark to meet with the president in Seoul, Korea. So I was flown to the Marine base at Busan, waiting Admiral Clark's arrival, and we flew on up. He said, I think there's going to be a presentation. We'll send a car for you if this materializes. So they did, and there's a whole lot that happened in between, but they didn't know I was going to join this elite group. So I had a little trouble with the guard getting in. But anyway, I did, and Admiral Clark met me and brushed the snow off me and combed my hair and got me ready to meet the people in it. But this is General Omar Bradley and Mark Clark and Van Fleet and all these 4 and 5-star guys, Secretary of Defense and an ambassador. So I got to meet them, but President, they all called him President. Wasn't in the room at the time. When he did, somebody said, "Gentlemen, the President," and we all came to attention. So he was brought over, introduced, and grabbed me by the arm, led me over to a big overstuffed leather chair, kind of pressed me into the chair, and then he sat on the arm of it and put his arm around me. I thought that was unusual. And then he said, "Before we get down to business, we ought to have a drink, don't you think?" Of course, I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "We have scotch and bourbon, water, and soda. My son John's the bartender. What do you have?" I said, "A bourbon and water, please." "We have awfully good scotch," he says. And I said, "Well, sir, I prefer a bourbon and water." "Young man, we've got great scotch." I said, "Really? You know, I drink beer." He says, "Lieutenant, we've got the world's finest scotch." And I said, "Mr. President, I drink bourbon and water." Surprised a bunch of generals and admirals around there, but he says, "Okay, John, give him a bourbon and water."
What a great story.
Yeah,
Well, now we are on for the Congressional Medal of Honor, or the Medal of Honor, and I'm going to encourage all of those who are watching today to jump on this website. We want you to sign up. We want you to get involved in this effort to get this very deserving person the Medal of Honor. So thank you both for, again, joining us here on Operation American Dream. Thank you for your service to this great nation. Thank you for your service to this great nation. And you are our hero. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We will be right back with more of Operation American Dream. Don't go away. Welcome to Operation American Dream. I'm Eve Nasby, and I want to talk to the employers out there who want to hire great talent, but you just don't know where to find them. Well, I think the military is a great place to look. And within the military, there's a whole bunch of segments that might be confusing to you. Where do you find them? How do you find the right talent for your organization? Well, with us in studio today, we have an expert in that field, Rochelle Snook, Global Business Talent Acquisition Manager for WD-40. How'd I do?
Great.
All
That's
right.
great.
So, Rochelle, from your experience, and you hired 40% of your people last year were veterans. So you obviously know where to find great talent and how to make the right match. So educate our viewers. Where do you find great talent from the military?
There's so many places, and especially being in a military town like San Diego, there are agencies, there are nonprofit organizations. You can also find them on LinkedIn. Some of those organizations that support our military in San Diego include the Easter SEALs, which is an incredible resource. They work one-on-one with their transitioning veterans. 0800, which is also a veteran-led organization. They have the connections with corporate America, for-profit, non-for-profit companies. We also work with Brave Employment Staffing and veteran support. There is also on each of the military installations, there's Fleet and Family Services, there is transition support programs. They're very easy to find online. We also work quite closely with the Honor Foundation at the Rady at USC.
Love those guys.
UCSD.
Yeah. Yes.
They have an incredible program of transitioning veteran Navy SEALs, and they put them through a development program and connect them with employers like us. So there's a lot of resources.
Now, how do we figure out who the right person is for our job?
Right, good question. There's many things when you, as a recruiter, to be asking veterans. When you look at their resume, the first thing you do is go, I don't know what any of this means. Like, how does this translate to my job in corporate America? How do I take those skills that veterans have and understand where to place them, whether it be supply chain or operations or quality or any of those functions? So what we encourage our recruiters to do is just ask the veterans, make it a very open, candid conversation. Don't be afraid of that resume, even though there might be a lot of acronyms on there and you're not quite sure what the job titles are. Explain to the veteran what the role is and then ask them to translate that experience, that relevant experience for what you're hiring for.
Great advice. So what I hear you saying is leverage those nonprofits that are here in San Diego. You can jump on Google and find some great ones and then learn how to ask the right questions. And I think in our next segment, we're going to talk about the right interview questions to get the right information from our military folks. Rochelle Snook, thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Thanks, Eve.
I'm Eve Nasby with Operation American Dream. We'll be right back. Wow, what a great show we've had. Captain Williams, what an icon here for America. Thank you so much, Phil Kendrow, for joining our show, and Tom Garcia. You know, if you guys want to learn more about Operation American Dream, we focus on home ownership, financial literacy, education, and employment. If you want to learn more about us, please go online to operationamericandream.tv to learn more about us. And if you know of anybody that needs to be on this show, also drop us a line, tell them all about it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.